All right, so officially welcome after that expression session, everyone, to the session. We're now recording and live streaming, so welcome to anyone who's joining us there. Just going to do a meditation now. I've just done some sharing and talked about dropping into pure formless awareness. So that's what we're going to do now. Just go into that awareness with some breathing again. So just making yourself comfortable, sitting in your favorite meditation posture. So feet shoulder width apart if you're sitting on a chair, back straight, cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes, and start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So you're breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. And the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Moving into the lower stomach, blowing it up like a balloon, clenching the sphincter muscle to lock the energy in. Drawing the energy up the spine. Your heart center, putting one hand on your heart to connect with your heart space. Bring your attention into the present moment fully. Full maximal inhale, pause at the top of the inhale. And so just scan your mind. Noticing thoughts, emotions, body sensations arising. So how do we observe emotion but through body sensation? You just observe what's going on in the body. Maybe sweaty palms, dry mouth, maybe just a bit of tension. It's kind of feeling in your stomach. It's not comfortable, whatever it is, breathe into it. And create some space. Awareness is light. You visualize light. You can bring up the light, bring in light into every pore, every cell, every muscle, every part of your body, every part of your mind is in the light. And this is the light that knows no darkness. There is no limited awareness. So whatever that feeling is, that thought, that feeling, breathe into it. Breathe in the light and know that you can let it go. There's nothing that the light cannot help you let go of. So light is your true nature. It's the ground of being, your true awareness. So you can let it go now. So just choose to do that. Exhale. As you exhale, blow it out. The breeze of your breath to the nothingness that it really is. Just letting it all go. Lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest here. This peace and stillness. So just breathing in and breathing out. Get into a nice, deep, slow, rhythmical pattern with the breath. Inhaling through the nose, notice the stomach rise and the chest rise. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. And then you naturally exhale, and you notice how that process reverses. Air flows out, stomach contracts, and you just get a bit more relaxed with every breath, every cycle of that breath. You just observe it. Air flowing in to the nostrils, stomach rising, observe that. And then it reverses naturally, exhale, stomach falls, breath flows out. And then it rises again, and it falls again. And you just keep doing that. In and out through the nose. Breathing in and breathing out. Stomach rises, stomach falls. Observe now. It's a subtle sensation in your nose. So in your nostrils, the sensation as you breathe in, and there's a sensation as you breathe out. So you notice the sensations in your nose and just below your nose, between your nose and your upper lip. Notice that as well. Very subtle. So you're tuning into the subtlety of things, focusing the mind sharply, one-pointedly into the present moment, which is where our true awareness arises. So the field of transformation is the present moment. So just let the breath lead you into that. Going deeper and deeper each breath into that field. Surrender to the process. There's nowhere else to go, there's nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe. Observe the breath, relax, be still. Nowhere else to go, nowhere else to be, nothing else to do. Just breathe. Observe the breath flowing into the nostrils and out of the nostrils. If your mind wanders, you just bring it back to the breath. Very simple practice. Just catch your mind wandering. It's the monkey mind. And wanders off into the past, the future. Goes down some rabbit hole of the mind to some emotional trauma. Whatever it is, you're able to just observe that. Your true awareness is arising with the breath. And just observe all that illusion and realize that it is illusion. It's like clouds just drifting high, covering over the sky, which is your true awareness, and the light, which is your source. We know the clouds are not the ultimate reality. They just scatter on the lower level. Beyond them, above the clouds, is clear blue sky always, and brilliant light of the eternal sun, which is your true source, true source shining through the blue sky of your true awareness. So go beyond the clouds, just let them go with the breeze of your breath, blowing them away, realizing they are nothing, they are shadows. No substance to clouds, seem to be a block to the sky and the light, but they're not. You can easily go through them. So if there's a cloud there, just blow it away. Just a fragment of a thought, shadow of an emotion, blow it away. The breeze of your breath, and let it go. And then you see the blue sky, deep, penetrating, eternal blue. Just sink into that. Nothing to do but to merge with that. That's your true awareness. Lighted up by your source. Feel the light radiating through your mind in this clear blue sky, shining through. It's the one light shining on itself, knowing that it is one. And so you are it, and it is you, and there's only one awareness of itself arising right now in your awareness. And you feel peaceful and joyful as a result. It's a natural consequence of this awareness. And nothing else to do, just be in this awareness. Surrender to it. Immerse yourself in it. Marinate in it, as Muji says. Marinate in this awareness. For a couple of minutes of deep silence. And so anything arises to disturb this deeply peaceful state, some cloud patterns arise, thoughts and emotions from the past about the future. Just feel a clouding over this clear blue sky. The light shines through, and you observe it. You breathe into it. Nice deep breath in. So you breathe in the essence of the blue sky and the light. And you remind yourself that these clouds are not real. They cannot really obscure the sky, which is eternal, and the source of light shines forever in your mind. So you dismiss them. Clouds come and go, they shift and they change. So just help them on their way, blow them away. As you exhale, blow them away with the breeze of your breath. So nothingness they really are. Going, going, gone. Just let them dissipate. Pull the stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And you rest here. In the blue sky, your true awareness, the light of your source shining through it, radiating through your mind into your heart. Feel it in every part of your body, every cell of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being is immersed in the light of your true awareness. And you just rest in that awareness. Nothing else to do, nowhere else to go. Just stay in this awareness. For another minute or two of deep, blissful silence. Just gently coming back in this deep awareness into awareness of the body, and breath, senses in the world. Maybe you slipped off into the blue sky. You weren't aware of any of that for a while. That's the case. You just notice it and go, that was beautiful. That's reality. It becomes a reference point, an anchor into this state in future. And now it's time to gently head back into the world of perception, domain of time and space, and the body. But you don't lose this higher awareness. It's still there. You can never lose it. It's the foundation of your mind, your being, who you really are, beyond all illusions. So on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. 1, just breathing in, so noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises and the rising up of the breath, feeling energy rising up into the crown of your head. Pause at the top of the inhale. And just notice any thoughts, emotions, any body sensations arising, particularly anything that feels negative, limiting, contracted, constricting in any way. And again, you let it go. Just choose to release it to the nothingness that it really is. Blow it all away with the breeze of your breath. And you remain in true awareness in the blue sky. Notice how the air flows out, chest and the stomach suck back in. Energy subsides back down the stomach and the groin. Just resting here for a few moments in that stillness, and then breathing in again, noticing how air flows into the nostrils. Notice what you're touching and you're feeling. Taste in your mouth. Notice what you're hearing. So maybe you can hear the dogs barking and howling in the background. That's okay. You just use it as part of the meditation. Work with whatever reactions come up. There's irritation, resistance. You just observe that and you let it go. And you blow it out. And you release it to the nothingness that it really is. And then often it just disappears. Dogs stop barking and seemingly external irritation just goes away when you change your mind. So just be the witness of all of your senses without judgment and interpretation. The ego has no hold. Ego is the judgment, interpretation of your sense perceptions to create a meaning that is false in your mind. A false sense of self, a false reality, a false world. And you're just exposing all of that now. Being willing to let it go and come into the true reality of what you really are. Pure formless awareness of perfect love. So now on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. Just look around for a minute or so, observing what's around you in this calm, quiet, detached way. So focus on one object at random. Don't select it specifically, just whatever your eyes happen to rest on. A few seconds, just hold it in awareness. Notice that this awareness that you had in the last half an hour in the meditation is still there. It hasn't really gone away. It's still very much there. It's your fundamental awareness. And so it underlies all of your sense perceptions. It cannot go away. Now you're interpreting your reality from this awareness instead of from the ego perspective, which is based on the idea that you're a separate self. So that's what true perception, that's what miraculous perception looks like. Just pure awareness that perceives everything from a quiet, calm, non-attached space. And just rest in that awareness. And notice that that awareness underlies every one of your sense perceptions. So look at something else. Notice that you have the same awareness. Nothing's really changed. If you don't allow your mind to engage in judgment of that object or person or whatever it is, say that's something separate from me, then there's no problem, no attachment. And you remain in that awareness. And all of your sense perceptions come in, and that awareness is undisturbed. So your mind is undisturbed by the constantly shifting, changing sense perceptions that come in. You remain rooted in your true awareness, and that's why we're training. That's why we're doing the Art of Letting Go course and training our minds to stay rooted in that awareness, because it's our true awareness, and it's the only awareness in which we feel happy and peaceful and loving and joyful. So just set an intention to stay in that awareness for the rest of the session, the rest of the afternoon and the day, and let that awareness guide you in the rest of our session. And to keep yourself in that awareness, just kind of anchor into that state is just observe the breath. So just observe the breath, keep some awareness on the breath flowing into the nostrils and out of the nostrils. And that connects you with this deeper awareness. It's always there then, just in the background. Creating a peaceful field of presence to interpret all of your sensory perceptions. And make sure they're peaceful. And that whatever needs to arise from that awareness, anything that needs to arise, arises. It's the Holy Spirit that is the agent of transformation. So open your eyes if they're still closed. I think I did say open your eyes, but we're now back in sensory awareness. All your senses engaged. That's the end of the meditation. So I think let's just do a check-in, see if everyone's still there, and how much time everyone's still there. So I'd still like to cover a bit of teaching, if that's okay. After that, go for another hour maybe. I've got a one-on-one session at 4 p.m. UK time, so I can do another hour and a bit. Everyone good with that? If you need to go, then go. Sally's smiling.
I'm smiling because of Yad's face.
What's Yad saying?
I'm just here for another 10 minutes, and then I've got a client.
Right. Client, okay.
Nice to see Yad. He's made it over half an hour or an hour.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, 2.5 hours.
I have got to go. I just haven't got a time constraint as such, but I have got stuff to do. Like I've got work to do. But I'll hang on a bit longer.
Okay, well, we'll just dive into it then. We'll share the screen. If you need it, drop off. Now's the natural exit point. But otherwise, we'll just have a quick look at the quotes and a brief teaching today, and then I want to do the pathway 1 and 2 of the 12 pathways in your course manual, which you may or may not have looked at yet, but they're quite powerful. Okay, so let's have a look at the quotes. Who wants to read that? You want to read the quote?
Yeah, I'll read it, but it's got a thing over it, so I can't see it. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Unless you put the house of your life, physical and verbal structures in order, the urge for exploration of which is beyond time and space will remain only a wish in the mind. If there is disorder in simple things of life like diet, sleep, exercise, breathing, trying to build a structure of exploration, it will be like building a house in the sand.
Yeah, so unless you put the house of your life in order, and it's talking about the physical and verbal structures, and what she's referring to, the urge for exploration, is the hero's journey of that which is beyond time and space, the eternal, remain only a wish in the mind. So it's quite a profound quote, really. It's saying almost like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You need to get some of the basics in place first. If your life's a mess, your diet's all over the place. Sleep, exercise, breathing, these are all things that if there's no order there, it's going to be very difficult to create this structure of exploration. Remains a wish in the mind, but you're still trying to deal with things on the level of form. Sally, the other day you were saying people in your weight loss course seem to be so focused on the physical, on the diet and the body. It's difficult for them to look beyond it. So that's an example. So then part of their healing would be, okay, go sort that out, and then you might be ready for something more, because it all leads you, as you start to address these things, it leads you into the domain of transformation. If I look at my journey, I got all this pretty much sorted in my 20s and 30s when I was a professional squash player. So I had to really be vigilant of diet. I tried a few things, and I came across a diet called the Zone Diet, which I found really worked for me. So I got that sort of structure in place, and then my energy levels, my blood sugar was stable, so I had good sustained energy, sleep. So it's one thing I need to work on, because of this course, my sleep patterns have gone a bit awry. But I'm now going into another year where I've got the content, so it's going to normalize. ESCOM kicks in, okay, and all is gone. Exercise. So I did a lot of training. I was training sometimes 4, 5, 6 hours a day, and I learned to breathe. Related to that, I learned to breathe through my nose when I was exercising, which is something I'll teach you as well. Great little trick to really start enjoying exercise, and it was a revolution. Absolutely transformed my career, because I didn't get as tired anymore, so I was able to have much more endurance and get into the flow much more. So it was all supposedly to help me in my egoic goal of becoming a world champion squash player, but actually it was foundational practice. It was spiritual practice. It was really building this house of exploration, building a structure of exploration on the rock of a solid foundation, which then I started doing transcendental meditation also, just as a practice to try to help me improve my squash. And that's sort of, with all of those foundations in place and the transcendental meditation, something started happening. I just started awakening and getting really interested in stuff I wasn't interested in, more like the power of now. I remember reading, I'd read a bit of it before, and it was like, didn't really resonate. And then suddenly I read it and I was like, oh my God, what's he actually saying here? I've actually never really been fully in my life, because I've always been in the future. My pattern was to look to the future. And so when I do that, when I become the world champion, then life's going to be great. And I realized that I'd been missing, most of my life. It was like, wow. But I think all these things that I put in place really helped because I had a good structure. It was a solid foundation for further exploration. So I'm just fortunate. I guess my path was about building that foundation, and then on the foundation, other things, the sort of higher exploration just started happening naturally. I couldn't stop it. It was just, I got really curious and started diving into all kinds of spiritual teachings, which led me eventually to A Course in Miracles. And then I was like, okay, I think I found the truth here, but I don't really understand it. So I've got to dive a lot deeper into it. And that's been ongoing for the last almost 17 years. And here we are today, just doing a very deep dive again into A Course in Miracles in this course and in the 1 year program. And really, if you keep cycling through that, you can't help but awaken. It's ego can't sustain. So I'm actually doing this for my own enlightenment. It's higher self-interest. All of it's the course, and the side benefit is that other people benefit as well. Okay, so let's.
Can I just ask you a question about that? So you talk,
sure.
Like what Sally said about the people focusing on weight, but it's backwards. It's like they're focusing on something that they think is going to give them relief, but actually it's not real. And so when you changed you found something that worked for you because you found something that you believed worked for you, but actually the other things that would have worked for you if you believed in them as well. So you were able to stop thinking about those things because you found something that you weren't resistant to, and then that gave you the space. But if your house isn't like my house is chaos because I still haven't unpacked. But if I'm looking at those things and I'm giving them, I'm attaching what I think to them. So if they're bothering me and I'm thinking about them as bothering me, then it's going to be an issue. But if actually I look at them and just think, well, they're objects and I don't have any attachment to them, then it's not an issue, is it? And I don't actually physically have to do anything. I just have to change the way I perceive things, don't I? Isn't that the truth?
Change the way you perceive things. From a changed perception, often then these things start to sort themselves out. That's the interesting thing.
So you don't physically have to go and change those things in your house.
Well,
you have to change your mental perception.
Yeah, but then often, as an effect of that, an expression of that, you'll clean up the house. I mean, did you watch the I think I recommended it, that movie Limitless last year? Did you ever watch it?
I love that film. Yeah.
Do you remember that? He's like he's living in an absolute shit house. He hasn't cleaned his house for it's disgusting. And then he takes the pill and he's like, oh my God, I've just seen what an absolute mess my physical environment is. And so the first thing he does is he cleans that up, right? That was the beginning of his transformation. He's like, okay, I've got energy, I'm focused. So, he spends a few hours cleaning it up. So he's got a clean space to work in. And so there was an example of like, okay, how can you be productive in an environment like that? So maybe that's what you have to do as part of the the external, the expression of the inner shift. You go, okay, well, let me physically clean my house, or let me sort out my diet. I'm eating too much sugar or carbs, and that will affect your energy level. You're gonna, if you're on a sugar high, sugar low, you're not going to sustain for hours in a session. You'll find yourself crashing out and so on. So those are the kinds of structures.
Is that true? Is that really true? Or is that just what we think is true? Because the Course in Miracles tells us it's not true.
It's not ultimately true, but the thing is, at the highest level, let's say you were an advanced meditator guru, say like Ram Dass's guru. I mean, he took a whole handful of LSD tablets, 1,200 milligrams of LSD. Now that would normally just fry any normal human being's brain completely. It would just be like, that's it. And it didn't affect him. Right. So highest level, but that's advanced. He's done who knows how many thousands of hours of meditation, and he's able to handle that. So as part of the upgrading of yourself, often get that stuff sorted. Just get
okay. So I hear you now.
Yeah.
So now, when I was talking about how I was spending so much time on the calls, and actually I've got the house to sort out. Really, I should be going and sorting out the house and then coming back to the calls.
Yeah, do that as well,
Right,
You do
okay,
it-
I'm going to go now. I'll catch
You
up
can
with the
do it all.
later. I'll listen to what's
Go clean
happening.
house. Yeah. And
Right,
then
thanks a lot, then.
that's part of the exercise. That's why I said,
Right,
did anyone do a house clean? Because that was one of the things I recommended you do on the weekend. That you like
Well,
clean up
it's going to take me take me too long to just do it. It's hours and hours of work. I'll put on YouTube. Listen to you on there.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, yeah, make a start.
right.
It's all symbolic, make a start.
Right. Okay.
All
Thanks.
right. See you on the other side of that. Are you going to join us tonight? No, she's gone. Okay. Yeah, any other comments, questions on that quote? Some interesting stuff there arising. Otherwise, literally the housekeeping out of the way. Funny. Let's move on to housekeeping of a different kind. Today's inspirational quote, which refers to this parable of the houses built on rock and sand that Yeshua told, is recorded in the Gospel of Matthew. So that's what she's actually referring to. It's a very well-known biblical quote. Is a parable that Yeshua told. So who wants to read that one? And then there were 2, 3. Orally.
I'll read it if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
doesn't matter.
if you want to read it, you can read it.
Okay, so everyone then who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock, and the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house. There's something on the letter, but it did not fall because it had been founded on the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell. And great was the fall of it.
Mm-hmm. So what's he really saying there? Great parable. He's saying that the house.
You have to have strong foundations.
Exactly. The foundation of your thought system needs to be truth. That's the rock.
Yeah.
And then the winds and the rain and the floods are the adversities of life that can come in and seemingly batter you. And if you don't have a strong foundation, then it's going to knock you over and it all crumbles. And so people who, if you have an egoic thought system and you face adversity, then there's nothing really to fall back on. And often great was the fall of it. There's a collapse and people can have all kinds of breakdowns and crises, which then, the opportunity is for them to awaken to the true self and accept it always.
Mm-hmm.
But if you found it on the rock of truth, then the adversities are like, okay, it doesn't need to knock me off course. I've got this rock of truth in my mind, and I can just keep returning to that and knowing that whatever seems to happen in the illusion doesn't matter. I'm unshakable. I'm imperturbable in my true nature. That's what we're training ourselves to do. So this is, adversity training, resilience. They talk about that's sort of a new buzzword in personal growth circles. You become resilient, given what's happened with COVID and some of the adversities that been experienced through that over the last, say, 3 years. Resilience, is a really valuable quality. So how do you become resilient to the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, as Shakespeare called them? You develop your own mind. You train your mind to stay rooted in its true awareness, no matter what. It's this kind of mind training that we're doing that develops your ability to be resilient and overcome, whatever the challenges and the obstacles are, and keep going back to the truth, which your mind is then rooted in. and not let them sway you. You know, the thoughts and emotions the ego sponsors don't. You know, they come and they go. You know, so you like the lighthouse, and it's a great image on the rock, and you know, the winds and the rain and gets battered, but it's founded on the rock, so it's not going to move, and it shines the light. Then from that place, it shines the light to others, doesn't it? So you can then, rooted in the rock of your true foundation, you can be the light of the world, shining into the world and giving other people guidance in the storms, in the darkness. But if your house isn't on rock, you can't shine your light. See, that's the same ideas here. You have to build your house on the foundation of truth in order to be a really, you know, a light into the world, and get some of the basics handled, so that, you know, then often a teaching function unfolds for you, because you've got those things covered, and you become the rock for others because you've got that solid foundation.
Yeah, it's very synchronistic, actually. I feel like, yeah. I feel like it's really where I'm at.
Yeah. So sometimes there's a call, you know, you don't teach. You've done, you know, your share of teaching and going out there and shining the light. And then sometimes there's a call to go within and establish that foundation more strongly in yourself, you know, just really create that foundation rock, so that you can be the rock for others, and you can go out now after the transformation into the world and be unshakable, unmovable in that, the knowledge of who you really are, and you can be the light for others, and they will resonate with you because you are the rock. You know, you hold that, you hold the space. Like, okay, I don't move, I don't shift, I'm rooted in my true being, and then I can pull you into that. I can help you to find your own true being because of what I am.
I've been there, or I've done it. So
you do go through times. I mean, I went through a period before this course. I went through a, you know, real transformation period. It was a very difficult period in my life, and I couldn't really teach. I didn't teach for years because I just like, I can't really. I did a once a week meditation for an hour or something, hour and a half. That was it, because I just like, I was dealing with my own stuff. I was like, Jesus, can I even ever teach again? I don't know.
That's exactly how I'm feeling.
Yeah. So, you know, I've been there, but you will. It's just it's a process. You know, it's getting through that in turbulation in yourself. You know, the ego arising, and it feels like, geez, I'm not even sure who I am anymore, and it's all a bit unshaky. You know? And so then, how do you teach when you're not even certain? So then, don't just go. Okay, the job is to do my own work and really work through this and heal, and then there will come a time when, you know, the teaching comes again, and it'll just be a natural process. It took years, but, you know, I felt the call about nearly 5 years ago, 2018, in around this time, and then in June of that year, I just went, okay, I've got to actually do something about this. You know, I can't carry on my life in a way where I'm not actually teaching this and you know, living it. And so then there was a call to start this the first Art of Letting Go course.
Wow.
2018, which I did, you know, and it was difficult. I mean, it was because I had to shift from one to another, and there was a lot of resistance in my family environment, and, you know, it was like, wow, that was the hardest course I ever ran, because it was like breaking through into, you know, what I truly needed to be doing, but there was this, you know, the ego barrier, the resistance is huge.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I've got to do it. You know, there's a call in me that this is what I must do, and I must get through it. And if I hadn't, you know, then this wouldn't be happening now. So on the other side of your own hero's journey lies, you know, the inspired purpose.
I know it's always happening for a reason, and I keep having mirrors saying that to me as well. Like, like my mother-in-law, she says that as well, and I say that as well. Like, everything always happens for a reason.
Yeah. So, you know, it's to go through it and say, okay, I know on the other side of this, you know, once you've gone through the death and the rebirth, you come out of that, and there's a natural movement to return. That's the hero's journey. into the normal world, and then often that's a teaching function. You're like, okay, so I now have this much more established in my mind. I'm really rooted in it. I'm solid in it. I know it, and then I can teach it, and there will be people attracted to that because you're so certain. And I've just found that like this has happened organically. I had various delusions of grandeur when I started. It would be like I'd get to 100 people in 6 months or something, and it just didn't happen that way. It was much slower, more organic. To let go of all those expectations and say, okay, it's a process, and I'm in it for the long haul. I will just do every day, get up, do my email, do the whatever the live call is, and just keep doing that, and trust that if I keep doing it, and I have faith that it will be guided, and it has been. And now suddenly there's a whole bunch of people showing up, and it's amazing.
It is.
That's a process of my own hero's journey, of working through all the resistance myself, and going through a death and a rebirth, and then the benefit of that for the world is, okay, now there's something I've created as a result of that journey, which is of benefit to people.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. It's actually, again, so synchronistic, because I have created like courses and like programs, like two programs to work in depth and to get into that inner peace or peace of mind. And it's like one is called 9 Steps to Inner Peace, and the other one is called Be the Love of Your Life. So yeah, and I'm also wanting to do in both French, English, and it's actually, I can feel like deep inside me that it's the process of me embodying and integrating deeply these courses through my daily practice, that I will be able to teach it when I'm ready. It's like that mirror again. It's like when the student is ready, the teacher appears, but it's like you played both roles of the student and teacher.
Yeah. I mean, you're always a student first, and then a teacher. The teaching comes after that, and then you're still teaching. I'm still learning and teaching. I'm still the student as I'm teaching. Teach yourself, and
exactly.
so then that's actually your own ongoing to really advance in this. You teach it so that you become so rooted in what you're teaching. You can't teach it and not believe it yourself.
Exactly.
You teach it and you speak it. It just becomes like, okay, I just know this. I can do it in my sleep. Literally, sometimes I've been like really tired. I can actually just guide a meditation in my sleep.
Oh, wow.
It's like,
that's amazing.
Well, I'm half like I'm in an alpha zone, like dropping in and out. But it just comes through me. So you just start to learn that there's another power that's kind of just using you. It's taking over. It's
I can feel that.
Yeah.
Especially like when I wake up as well, I get guidance. Like I receive guidance to like what to do, and first thing when you wake up, and I start doing it. And I just follow that guidance, because I know the guidance is clear when you wake up. Well, as soon as you wake up, I mean, that guidance cannot be any clearer, because you didn't have time to think about nothing else. So
yeah, exactly. You're in alpha state when you wake up. That first 5 minutes is an alpha state. So you're in a kind of meditative state.
Yeah,
that's a great opportunity for reflection. If you go straight into a meditation, so you then start doing the theta letting go meditation. In the first 5 minutes, you just catch that and you extend that state.
okay.
So you don't come out of it. So try and get up. You might go to the toilet, get a cup of tea or something, and then sit down and do it, so that you don't come out of that and now you're going into beta state where your mind's starting to get busy and active. You just catch that and you just you just allow that to lead you into a nice deep meditation from the start.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. That's
okay.
The guidance this morning. And the theta meditation you keep speaking about, is it where is it? Is it on the Telegram, or is it in the email that you sent, right?
Well, it's on both. Yeah.
On both.
I sent
So
it
which
in
day
Telegram.
was it?
Day
Which
one.
day? Day one. Okay.
It was the welcome. It was in the welcome. The welcome email, welcome Telegram on Saturday that I sent. Guided theta letting go meditation, I think it's called. And then it's also here. So you scroll down, there's a whole load of stuff you might even have seen But
Because
go
I did the
down-
breast watch one this morning, the 20 minutes
Yeah.
one breast watch. Oh, okay. Morning practice.
So it's
Okay.
there, yeah. If you go down every email, so I've got a schedule here, and then I say
Oh,
there's your
okay.
practice. So click
yeah.
on that, and there you go.
Oh yeah,
Now
my
I
ego
can-
was like, whoa,
yeah.
1 hour.
So
Even
welcome.
it's weird. I did Vipassana, but 1 hour felt too much, too long.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you can do 12 hours. You can do 1 hour.
Yeah,
It's,
exactly.
It's actually easier. It's easier than Vipassana because I'm using
Yeah.
various things. I mean, you use the breath, but there's also some touching, some toning,
Okay.
breath work, visualization. So it actually keeps your mind engaged. These are
Yeah.
all mantras. So
Yeah.
it goes quite quickly. You just go through the process and it's guided. So you're not just sitting watching your breath. There's my voice saying, okay, now we're doing this and going here.
Mm.
And so a lot of people do it and they go, that didn't really feel like an hour. It felt like 20 minutes, half an
Yeah.
hour. But I will next week. I'm going to give you half an hour and 40-minute versions of it, so you can choose.
Okay,
You want
cool.
to cut it
Thank
down,
you.
you can. But the first week I'm saying let's just try and do the 1 hour to get established in it.
Yeah, I definitely want to try that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
every morning, get up first 5 minutes when you're in that alpha state. Just
Yeah.
get straight into it. Have some headphones. I just
Mhm.
sit up in bed.
But I
and
felt that's the thing. I felt drawn to write actually as soon as I woke up because I had there was something I wanted to work on letting go and releasing. So I just wrote it down and I did the process and then I went into meditation.
meditation. Yeah.
But I did the process of releasing
idea is you
first.
caught the state, didn't you? Yeah, you caught that nice open alpha state. It's a meditative state. You caught it and then you extend it into your morning practice. That's the idea. So that's why do it straight away. The last thing you want to do is go straight onto social media or turn on the radio.
No.
It's a disaster because it just brings in all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And people who sit in bed and they like radio goes on, news comes on. I was just like, wow, that's just not that's not what you want to be doing
No.
at all.
Yeah.
I was with someone else, that old, demented lady, and my goodness, she would just like watch TV. I mean, she'd go to sleep with this TV on, like talking about news and all this rubbish and watching murder mysteries and
Yeah, I know that.
I'm going like, why would you do that? Like before you go to bed, you're watching
I know.
programs about serial killers. Like
Mm.
why would you expose yourself to that? It's like she's I find it fascinating, but it just shows you the mind. It's like, why would you find that fascinating? Talk about death and murder and now catching people and guilt and punish. I mean, just what a
Yeah, that's why this is being projected constantly in my environment because that's exactly what my mom watches, like all these,
I saw it, and the reason I had
crime
to
and
leave.
police stuff.
The reason I had to leave that environment was too. It's like it's just so different from what I'm teaching.
And from what I'm used to as well, because I have way different habits as well. But
yeah, it's like whoa.
and there's a lot of controlling around that. That's my issue as well. Like a lot of controlling around it. You do as I say, not as you want.
Well, yeah, you face the petty tyrant, don't you? And it's like you want as I say. And I was like, no, I won't do as you say. And because it's her house, it's like, okay, well then, you've got to leave, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Then you do what I do. In your case, maybe it's not as easy, but maybe you make a choice. You say, okay, well then, you don't have to remain.
You don't have to?
You don't have to remain. You don't have to stay in a physical space and interact with someone if it's not serving you. It's like,
No,
okay,
it's not.
It's a mirror to a point, and you realize it's a mirror. Okay, I see it, and it's triggering me. But at a point, you're like, okay, but I've got to move past this. I've got to let go of it. It's not what I want. It's not what I want to spend the rest of my life in, being triggered.
That's for sure.
So while you're there, do your letting go. And
well,
realize
it is part of the process as well. It's part
of the process, but then there's also a point when you go, okay, like, am I going to do this for the rest of my life, or am I just able to walk away and let this go and move into a more welcoming environment,
a more positive environment.
Where like a community supports me and it's actually nurturing and it's supportive and I'm not being attacked and put down and that there's actually people who see me as I am, in my true self, and they are inspired and inspiring like me, and they support me and they help my growth. And, they don't try and suppress that. They say, oh well, that's great. You've got a an idea to be a teacher. Okay, well, how can I help you to to let that happen?
Yeah.
Not get back in your box and remember who you are, and go work in some dead-end job because that's what you have to do. It's a thought system in life
Mm-hmm.
that, well, you either accept it or you don't, do you? I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't say yes, I'll accept that, and then also be on a path of spiritual growth and freedom, because
It's
they
contradictory.
contradict each other. You can't do both. So you must choose. One of the biggest things I did when I was 13, great life lesson. As I decided consciously, I was not going to be like my father.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very conscious choice. I said, no, I'm not going to be like this man in any way, shape, or form, because I don't like the way he is. I don't like the control and the very conservative thought system, and there's no joy there. There's no inspiration.
No,
I live
it's,
my
it's
life
misery.
in
It's like
a
constant
mindset of
misery.
fear, and nothing's ever gonna, nothing's really gonna work, and there's no, there's no real hope. It's just like survive. You gotta get a job, and you gotta make money, and you gotta survive. And I'm like, no, this just doesn't really,
Resonates.
No. So I made a choice, and I went in the opposite direction, which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah.
It means that relationship has never been a good relationship, of course. I mean, he doesn't understand, and he never will. But I just accepted it. It's like, okay, well, that's fine. That's where he's at. But I'm not going to live my life according to the dictates of a parent. You can't do that. It's your life to live. You've got your own choices to make, and if they don't like it, then that's their lesson.
Yeah.
They've got to learn to let go, and allow you the space to be who you really are.
Yeah.
Or not. If they don't accept it, well,
no,
okay.
They don't. They actually, she
no,
doesn't.
But then because they're your family, doesn't mean that you have to resonate with them, and you have to be
exactly
like close, and it doesn't mean that, because that's the special relationship.
Yeah.
Actually, your true family is the spiritual community. The people who are like-minded.
Well, I had that in South Africa. Yeah, that's why I missed that place, because I built a whole community there for sure. And my own family, basically. I actually found my soul family, my spiritual family. Yeah.
Yeah, well, but that's everywhere. So you're on this course now. There's
I mean, everywhere. You're right. You're right.
Like-minded people, and you want to hang out with them, because it's a field of supportive, transformational energy. It's not condemning you. It's not attacking you. It's
we're all supporting each other. Yeah, that's what I mentioned yesterday. We're here to support each other.
Yeah, and no one judges anyone.
Not bring everybody down or bring each other down.
You don't say, oh, well, you failed and you've done this and you've messed up, and you're just like, no, you are where you are, and you've had your experiences, and it's all it's all good, it's all perfect, and it's apparent imperfection, and here you are, and it's you come into this course to do the work and work through whatever it is, and we're all in the same boat, we're working through stuff and various stages of our own journeys, and so there's no judgment.
Hallelujah.
Which is very liberating. You're not being judged and condemned and told you're doing it all wrong, and you're messing up, and you're a failure, and you're a loser, and go get your life together and do something constructive with it. Like, okay. I mean, the story. I know it, because I mean, it's the ego's program, and I've faced it in my own family.
Yeah.
And, life a lot, but you got to stand against that and say, no, I'm not going to listen to that. That's the voice of the ego.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's have just a quick look at this teaching. As I mentioned yesterday, it's email. The ancient classical languages like Greek, Latin, and Sanskrit, as well as modern German, use the same word for breath, life, soul, and spirit. So that's pneuma in Greek, spiritus in Latin, prana in Sanskrit, Atmen in German. The words mean all of those things in all those languages. Breathing was also important to the ancient Hawaiian spiritual leaders. So the belief that you could bring in positive energy and expel negative energy with your breath, which is what you're doing whenever you practice a breath break in all the guided meditations. So you notice the breath is the foundation. It's an inhale. It's awareness on the inhale. Then exhale, you release. Very simple, but this this is what the Hawaiians knew. And then, interesting, the Christian missionaries came and civilized them and said, "Oh, we've got a better way. Let's just have a dogmatic belief. We're not actually going to release any negative energy. We're just going to get you into a belief structure of, there's some supreme God." And needless to say, it didn't go too well. So it was such a significant part of their lives that Ha, the Hawaiian word for breath, begins the name of both the island and the people who populate it. So then I went in this guided session. So there's more material here. If you want to listen to this breath watching, you can. But I just want to talk a little bit about this fight or flight response mode and how the breathing can help you overcome it. So shallow mouth breathing tends to activate the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight response mode. It stimulates the production of stress-producing hormones like cortisol, adrenaline, epinephrine, norepinephrine. Doesn't really matter. These are technical terms, but there are these hormones that get produced that seem to cause us more stress. So they cause you to feel anxious and disturbed because they're designed to get you into an optimal state for fighting or running away to save your life. So if you're feeling that fight or flight, if someone attacks you, even if it's verbally, that often gets triggered, and then you feel that anxiety and you feel that disturbance, don't you? And then it's a fight, or I want to run away, or I'm angry, I'm going to fight you. And so it's a very primal trigger, which is how then the ego functions in this world. So it's all wired into the body, and then the biochemistry follows the mind pattern, which is why it's hard to get out of it often, because it's hardwired into your system. And this is a very deep-seated response. The fight or flight response goes back a long time in time. It was designed to protect us, protect the body from the apparent threats of the environment. But what that does when you activate it is it suppresses the proper functioning of non-essential systems. So the body says, oh, there's a threat, you need to fight or flee, so we need to mobilize our energy to face this life-threatening situation. So we're going to shut down non-essential systems. So it suppresses the digestive system, reproductive system, your immune system, to mobilize energy for your upcoming fight or flight. So those systems get depressed, and so they don't function that well. When actually there's no life, there is no threat to your life. It's just perceptual. And so you trigger the stress response over and over, and it's not helpful in dealing with 99.99% of the situations we face. If you genuinely had a life-threatening situation and you needed a massive surge of energy to run away or to fight it, it might be helpful, possibly. But I could argue even in that state, you could still be in your higher awareness and you'd probably be in a better state.
Yeah.
But 99.99% of the time, situations are not life-threatening. It's just someone having a go at you verbally. It's not threatening your life. But the ego perceives it as a threat, you see, to its life. So it feels its existence is threatened. It interprets it as a threat. So remember, all stress is just the perception of external threat. You perceive a threat and then you make it real, and that's the stress. So then it triggers that ancient fight or flight response, fighting or running away. And that's never the best way to deal with apparent conflict, is it? Fighting or running away.
Running away.
Running
away, yeah.
Running away, yeah. It's a natural, but you haven't really dealt with it. So these inappropriate reactions to apparently external threats only create more stress for you and everyone else involved, while also damaging your health and well-being. So in contrast, when we breathe deeply through our nose, we engage our parasympathetic nervous system, and this activates the production of so-called feel-good chemicals like dopamine and serotonin that help us to feel calm, relaxed, and poised. There's a much better mental and emotional state in which to respond to any apparent external threats. So deep diaphragmatic breathing is a wonderful tool for cultivating self-awareness and also improve your mental and physical health and well-being. So it brings in it activates the parasympathetic nervous system when you do deep diaphragmatic breathing, which is naturally relaxing. So you're using the breath and and the hardwired physiology of your body, the biochemistry, to help you in your awakening, which makes sense. That's why the breath is foundational practice in so many spiritual practices and techniques.
That's interesting, because that's actually the stuff I used to teach all the time. I used to teach that because I mean the fight, even the fight of flight and all this, the stress and the breathing. Because I studied I did the training for brain gym and educational kinesiology, and that's exactly what they teach as well.
Yeah.
It's the breathing and to release the stress.
Yeah. So
But
it's a foundational practice.
Sorry.
It's a foundational practice. If you can get into the habit of just breathing and breathing nice and deeply and slowly and using it to calm yourself down, it's one of those foundations, the rock on which you then build the house of your bigger structure of exploration, because you can establish then a state of calm, and it helps you to let go of whatever those disturbing emotions are. If you just do it mentally, it's possible, but it's harder. So why not just make your life easier? Use the breath as the tool to help that process of letting go. And so that's embedded into all of the meditations that I guide and the breath breaks. And when we get into the course lessons next week, it's embedded in the practice of those. We do breath breaks and meditations always with the breath, because it helps you with the releasing process, helps you let go.
Yeah, and we always also attract in a way what we need for our own growth, on benefit, on growth as well. I mean,
breathing deeply through your nose while you focus all your attention on the sensations of your breathing is this anapanasati, or anapana for short, meaning mindfulness of breathing.
That's what we do in Vipassana.
Exactly. So, and it actually means mindfulness of breathing. So what John Kabat-Zinn did was he went, okay, well, it means mindfulness, so we'll just take that and we'll use it. We'll call it mindfulness, and that's how it became known as mindfulness. But it's the same thing. It's just rebranded for a Western mind that doesn't necessarily know about anapanasati. It sounds a bit esoteric, or Vipassana, or it doesn't want to know the Buddhist teachings. It just wants to find peace. So just strip away the dogma of 2,500 years that come along with Buddhism, and in essence what the Buddha taught was just do the meditation and have your own experience. That's what he taught. It was so simple. He didn't teach dogma. There was the noble truths that arose. There was the eightfold path and the four noble truths. But I don't think when he taught it, he really focused on that. He focused on the meditation. He said, just do it, and then you'll see for yourself.
Yeah.
And then what happens afterwards is other people get hold of it, and they develop it into a dogma. They start fiddling with it, and they create the so-called dogma of Buddhism, and then they have the seven. Oh, well, that's the four noble truths, and that's the eightfold path, and And actually, it's all still conceptual, you see. I mean, knowing the Four Noble Truths can be helpful, but it's not going to get you there. What will get you there is the meditation, because it's in your own experience then that you will start to then understand what he's saying, that, dukkha, desire, is the source of all suffering. And you start to observe that in your meditation. I'm attached, I have desires, they arise. Okay, but if I let them go and I just observe sensation and breath and I don't react to them, then I realize that there's an awareness beyond that. And that's how you realize that actually these things are illusion and they can be let go of. You do it in the meditation. So that was his teaching. Buddha's teaching was very simple. He just taught people the technique and said, you meditate and you will have your own experience. Don't believe me. It's not a dogma. This will arise in your own experience.
Yeah.
But of course, the mind comes in with any teaching, and then it has to formalize and conceptualize it, doesn't it? And make it into a dogma and a belief system. And then it gets formalized and becomes Buddhism. But actually, actually, it's just a practice. The essence of it is a practice to bring you into your own experience of the truth. That's all it is. So simple. Okay, so I think just let's do a little to experience this. It's a little 5-minute exercise, which I took people through in this in this recording, but I want you to just experience it for yourself. So you're going to do, say, 20 breaths through the mouth, quite shallow and fast. So like, just do this. Just
It sounds
do that
like a
about-
bit like Wim Hof technique before you go in freezing water.
Yeah. But notice what happens to the mind and body when you do that 20 times. So just do that now. Start now. And observe. As you're doing it, observe, okay, so what's happening in the body? Is any sensations arising? How am I feeling? Mentally, emotionally. Observe all of that. Just keep going until you've done 20. Okay. Done? So how did that feel?
Feels a bit like it's depriving of breathing, like a bit depriving of real true
You
breath.
feel a bit kind of disturbed. It's like, okay, I'm not quite comfortable here. It's
It
not a
feels,
relaxing.
yeah, it doesn't feel normal or natural,
Hmm.
like innate.
Yeah. So that's what happens. You breathe through your mouth. It activates this fight or flight response and
Ah.
brings
So
in.
so it's not good to do that breathing then.
Well, we'll do a holotropic breathing where we do it for 45 minutes at the end, and you can do it either through your nose or your mouth.
Okay.
And if you do it for an extended period, you actually break through. You go into another state.
Mm.
But if you just do it like we've done it for a short time, then it does disturb your peace because you start activating fight or flight response. Doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel peaceful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a demonstration, just how your breath affects your state of mind. So you're breathing, if you're breathing hard like that, and that isn't relaxing. Remember watching. Do you ever see the movie As It Is in Heaven? It's a Swedish movie, brilliant movie.
Yeah, I heard about it. I've seen some part of it, but I don't think I
Yeah,
watched the
but
whole
there was
movie.
a
I
scene
couldn't
there.
find it actually when I was recommended. I couldn't find it.
Really? Oh, well, maybe I'll
Oh yeah, I
recommend
must watch it. Yeah, because I
As It
remember
Is
I
in
was
Heaven.
recommended that movie.
And there's a scene there with the pastor of the sort of church in the small Swedish town, and he's having a panic attack. And what struck me was that he was breathing through his mouth. It was
Oh yeah.
he was literally, he was hyperventilating, and
Mm.
that's because he's totally freaked out. He's in such a state of fear.
Mm.
That and then obviously that doesn't help him. What you need to do is calm down, start breathing through your nose, which you're going to do now, and you see the different effect. You cannot have a panic attack if you're doing deep diaphragmatic breathing. It's not possible because the parasympathetic nervous system kicks in automatically and it calms you down and it brings all of that stuff down. So it's a really effective way of changing your state.
So it triggers the fight or flight, or with the fight.
Fight or flight response. Yeah.
Mm.
So you're breathing in through your mouth. And when you're exercising, it's what I learned in exercise when I was training. You don't want to be triggering that response when you're exercising. You want to be relaxed and in flow.
Yeah.
That's the opposite. And when I started to learn to breathe through my nose while I was training and playing squash, it was a revelation. It's like, wow, I'm just in a different state of mind. I can be much more relaxed. I can be in the flow. I'm not burning as much energy. I don't get as tired. It absolutely changed my career, changed my whole experience of the game profoundly. And I actually started enjoying it much more because you go into fight or flight and you're oxygen deprived. It's extremely stressful. Your body's like going, your mind's saying stop because you're dying here. You don't have enough, oxygen. You're anaerobic, but you have to keep going, and it's hellish. I mean, so that's a horrible state to be in. So once I learned that, I never went into that state again. I was always relaxed. Even like working really hard, I was still doing the same level of work, but I was in a relaxed, flowing state, so I could keep going. I didn't get as tired. It's quite amazing. So, you know, I've seen firsthand the power of this, and you can tap in to reserves that you didn't know you had. I remember when I learned it.
Actually, yeah, I can relate to what you're saying, because even before concert or singing, I used to always be like have this anxiety or like that, but that feeling in the belly, and using the well, the brain gym breathing or like breathing through the nose and out through your mouth was helping to release was helping relaxing the mind and body.
Yeah, so let's do that now. Breathe in, breathe out through the nose, just 10 deep breaths. Close your eyes and you breathe in. It's diaphragmatic breathing. So the diaphragm sits at the base of the lungs and it expands and it contracts. So your belly will rise as it expands, and the belly will fall as it contracts. So that's how you know you're doing diaphragmatic breathing. So just focus on the breath. You push the belly out as you breathe in through the nose, and then out through the nose, and let the stomach contract in naturally, and then you naturally just flow from the one to the other. Next inhale flows naturally, and the exhale flows naturally.
You exhale through the nose as well.
Yeah, you can do through the mouth, but there's no need. The simple diaphragmatic breath, you just breathe out through your nose, in and out through your nose. It's simple, it's gentle, it's relaxing, and just notice your state. Okay, notice what's happening as you do that. Thoughts, emotions, body sensations, what's arising. Okay, so once you've done 10 breaths, open your eyes and just notice the difference. Okay, so what's your state of mind now, as opposed to 5 minutes ago after we did the 20 breaths through the mouth?
Yeah, I feel much more relaxed, more relaxed. So.
Yeah. And that's a universal experience. Everyone does. So that's showing you tapping into a system. It's a parasympathetic nervous system that's there in every human being, and you can tap into it through a simple diaphragmatic breathing technique. So, you know, the answer is right under your nose.
Yeah, exactly.
You can feel peaceful if you do this. And yet most people they've been breathing automatically, unconsciously for their entire life, and they don't know that actually the greatest tool for their peace of mind and their transformation is right under their nose. It's right there, and they don't know it. It's extraordinary, really.
I also teach
so all the Buddha did was he said, okay, well, let's just pay attention to what's there. You know, the breath.
Exactly.
Right there, and let's just use that as this tool to go deeper into your awareness. And as you know, I mean, you do that for days and days. It's powerful. It's hugely transformational just to observe breath.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, you know, foundational practice. We're gonna do a lot of this in the course and ongoing program. The breath is the foundation, and then we bring in some of the teachings like the course lesson into that field. You've established the calmness with the breath, and then you bring in some mind training. And the combination of breath work and mind training is very powerful, because the breath opens your mind, it clears your mind, frees your mind to into a calm, open, receptive, relaxed state. And then you drop things in, mind training ideas into that. You're going to receive them on a deeper level. It goes deeper into your subconscious, so you can apply it more. So the combination is more powerful than if you just did one or the other on its own. I believe. So, but don't believe me. Just experience it. Do it yourself, and you'll see.
Yeah, that's the stuff I teach. I was teaching actually in SA. That's exactly all this stuff, like the breathing through your nose, and that's all exactly the stuff I was teaching. Yeah, so I can.
You know it all. It's just reminding you. You know this. It's not rocket science. You know this already. I mean, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I'm just reminding you. That's all.
Yeah, it's just I haven't been teaching it here in France as much. So that's, I mean, only, yeah, I haven't done it as much. So that's probably why I need to be reminded, and you're reminding me.
Yeah.
Hey, remember, you've got that too.
Yeah, exactly. And it's powerful, you know,
Yeah.
it's really, it's there. It's a foundational practice that you can use in your own life and you can teach other people.
Yeah.
You know, very simple. And nothing else they need to do. Just use what you've already got. It's your breath. It's always there. Just learn how to use it consciously. And that can take you into the highest states. The Buddha achieved his enlightenment through breath awareness. Didn't do anything else. Just sat there and he went through, a whole lot of various practices that he tried. And that was probably opening him up. But in the end, he just sat under the bo tree and he just observed his breath. And it took him into highest state of enlightenment. So it can take you all the way. You don't need anything else actually. Any questions on that teaching, on the breath work, diaphragmatic breathing?
All good.
All good. Okay, so let's just have a quick look at this. We're going to do little teaching. So first pathway. This is the pathways to higher consciousness. It's in your course manual. I'm starting on page 14. The teaching I came across a while ago, just freely available on the internet. A guy called Ken Keyes, who's a US teacher, developed it, and no one really took it when he died. No one took his work on and really, carried it on. So it was like, well, no one's claimed this. It's freely available. There's no copyright on it. So I took it, adapted it slightly, and here it is presented to you to work. It's very much in alignment with the course, just a different language. He uses the idea of it was written in the 60s and 70s. So when computers were just kind of coming into consciousness, and we're starting on this whole IT age, information age. So he uses the computer as the sort of analogy. So there's 12 pathways and they kind of interlock. We're going to do the first one. Addiction is a program or operating instruction to a biocomputer. It triggers uncomfortable emotional responses and excites your consciousness. The world doesn't fit the program pattern in your mind. Identifying characteristic for addiction is that if your desire is not fulfilled, you respond emotionally in a robot-like way and automatically play out a program of anger, worry, anxiety, jealousy, fear, and any of the many other negative emotions, at which you emotionally avoid is just as much an addiction as it's something you desire. Okay, so this is, again, Buddhist teaching, source of all suffering is desire. That's what the Buddha taught. So it's just, this was part of the whole mindfulness movement. Ken Keyes was tapping into the ancient wisdom, just reframing it for people, saying actually it's your own desires that are the problem. And you desire for something to be somewhere, or you desire for not to be somewhere. That's called an aversion reaction. It's the same. So we're just going to read this. First pathway, I'm freeing myself. So Aurelie, do you want to read the bold?
I'm freeing myself from security, sensation, and power addictions that make me try to forcefully control situations in my life and thus destroy my serenity and keep me from loving myself and others.
Yeah, so you see, it's a foundation, isn't it? I must free myself from these addictions, and that's really what breath work and Vipassana does. It gets you to observe all of these addictions that arise and realize that you don't have to respond to them, you don't have to react to them, which diminishes the importance. Okay, let's ask Elaine, are you still there? Are you just listening on? You want to read for us? Maybe she's just listening on.
Yeah, sorry, I was just feeding the dogs there. What am I reading?
As long as you have addictions.
Right. As long as you have addictions, just move that. Your Just a second, I'll just make that a bit bigger. Start again. As long as you have addictions, your exquisite biocomputer, your mind, will be dominated by the vain attempt to help you find happiness through manipulating the world around you into fitting your addictions. A mind dominated by addictions is not able to tune into the finer vibrations of surrounding people and things, just as a drummer who plays too loudly can keep you from hearing the violins and the flutes of symphony. Addictions are not evil or bad. They just cost you too much in lost perceptiveness, wisdom, effectiveness, and happiness.
Okay, so any thoughts on that? Stating the obvious, really, isn't it? But, your addictions are your desires that are not met, your expectations. And the more attached you are to your expectations, the more you suffer when they're not met. See? Saying they cost you too much. You know, you lose your wisdom, you lose effectiveness, you lose your happiness, you lose your true self to your addiction. If you've ever been, known addicts, you see that their true self is totally buried. They can't access it because the addiction is overriding everything. And they're not happy. You know, addictions always cause unhappiness sooner or later, but preferences never do. So it's the idea of, okay, well, in life we got to have certain choices, preferences, but it's not an addiction. I'm not attached to it. If I don't have it, it's okay. So as an addiction is not satisfied, you feel upset or unhappy. You know? So your expectation is not met. That's the source of all upset, really. When addiction is satisfied, you feel momentary pleasure, relief, or indifference. So the addict will tell you, you get your hits, and it's like, oh, I feel it, and then it's quite momentary, and then once I come off the high, then I'm back in the craving, and so I'm living in the suffering of ongoing craving, which is what the Buddha called it, dukkha. Craving leads to dukkha, suffering. So when a preference isn't satisfied, you simply feel indifferent. It was only a preference after all. When it is satisfied, it adds to the texture and beauty of your life. Okay, so I have a preference. I like having a good food, a nice meal. But if I don't and I'm fasting, that's okay too. Not a big deal. I can do that. And if I happen to be invited somewhere and I get a good meal, then okay, I get a good meal and I enjoy it. But no, it's a preference, not an attachment. When it's satisfied, it adds to the texture and beauty of your life. Okay, so I have a nice meal. I enjoy it. I enjoy the experience. I'm in the now. I'm flowing with it. But there's no attachment. It just arose. It's a temporary experience. It arises. It passes away without attachment. I enjoyed the experience. I know it's not going to last. It passes away. And then I'm not craving for more. I'm like, oh, I want that experience again. Because I'm okay as I am. See? My base state is okay. I'm not craving anymore. So you see the difference between addictions and preferences. Very important to understand that. So you want to upgrade your addictions to preferences, which means you've got to let them go. And maybe they're not even preferences then. You really don't even mind. The highest level, does an enlightened being have any preferences? That's an interesting question. Maybe they still do, but they wouldn't be anything strong. It's a very subtle movement of the mind. Okay, so then, Aurelia, if you can read the last paragraph, it's vital that you fully understand.
And it's vital that you fully understand that growth lies wholly in reprogramming your automatic emotional programming. It's not necessarily aimed at changing your external actions. You can do anything you prefer as long as you are not addicted. It's not the external circumstances that constitute your addiction. It's only your inner emotional programming that must be changed. And the wonderful thing is that it is fully within your ability to do so. Whereas up to now, you may have been hopelessly trying to manipulate the outside world to conform to your addictions.
Makes sense. It's really just a restatement of this, the Buddhist wisdom of the second noble truth, saying, the source of all suffering is desire, addiction, craving. And you can only let that go internally. So your emotional programming, say, yes, I need that, I need this thing, is the problem. So instead of trying to make the external world conform to your addiction, say, I need to try and manipulate reality to meet my expectations, I stop that game. I'm not trying to do that. I just let go of the addiction as it arises. A much better approach, isn't it, to the problem? Which is what we're doing. Yeah, with this letting go. We're letting go of those mind patterns of addictions. Yeshua calls them false idols. It's false desires in our mind. We say, well, when I get that, then I'll be happy. And it's an illusion. It's an idol. It's not true. It's part of the false belief of the ego. It's something outside of it can make it happy. So the only answer is to let go of that whole thought system that thinks that. Drop it, and then you can have preferences, but without attachment, no addiction. Just like, all got our preferences. I prefer tea to coffee. I prefer eating fruit and vegetables to meat and potatoes. These kinds of things. There's choices you make, but they're not addictions. They're preferences. So no, if you don't get them, that's okay. No drama. But if you can choose them, then you'll choose them. And maybe sometimes you just don't choose a preference to check in and see if it's an attachment or not. So preference for drinking wine, is it a preference or is it an addiction? So don't drink it for a day or two and see what happens. Abstain from it. So that's something you can do. I don't know if either of you drink alcohol. Stop drinking alcohol and see what happens. Is there an attachment there, or was it just a preference? So you can check in on these things.
No, that one's easy. I don't drink, so I don't like to drink. So,
neither do I. I didn't think it was helpful, so opposite. But a lot of people do. Going on a spiritual path doesn't mean you can't drink necessarily, but are you addicted to it? Are you attached to it or not? That's the question. And a lot of people are. They say I have no addiction, but they have to have their one glass of wine a day or two.
Yeah,
so it's not excessive, it's 1 or 2 glasses, and they must have it every day. So that's an addiction.
Yeah.
I'll do without it. And it's a pattern. At a certain time, there we go. Like clockwork, they need to go get their glass of wine. It's like, because then what it does, it changes their state, you see. So then they go, okay, I can start chilling out now. So they're using a substance externally to relax them, take them into an altered state. But they could do that equally well with their breath if they knew how. And meditation will take you into that same state. You don't need a substance to do it.
Or cigarettes.
And you have, or a cigarette, because that's all external. Then you have an external, addiction playing out, don't you?
Yeah.
And it's not helpful for your higher awareness at all. So breath, foundational practice. Start practicing with the breath and letting go of these attachments as they arise, and you observe them, and you start upgrading your mind. You start applying this first pathway. I'm freeing myself from these security, sensation, and power addictions. So security is base chakra, fear. Sensation, second chakra. It's all about pleasure in the body. Power addictions, third chakra. And you're starting to free yourself from those patterns that keep you locked into those lower levels of your mind. The ego mind is dominant there. And then you don't start trying to forcefully control situations, impose your will. And you see people who are locked into those patterns, they do try and control. That's what they do. They're trying to control reality to meet their addictions. But that destroys their serenity and keeps them from loving themselves and others. Okay, makes sense. Any questions on that? It's they're useful. These pathways can be really useful to remind yourself of. You could integrate them into your practice. You can read them every day if you wanted to. I've included them because it's another take from a different spiritual path, but it's really so much in alignment with the course. So.
Who was that? Who wrote this 12 pathways again?
It's a guy called Ken Kais.
Sorry?
Ken Kais is his name. Ken Kais Jr.
Ken
Personal
Kais.
development author and speaker, formulated as part of the Living Love method of personal growth. And I just found it on the internet ages ago, I don't know, 15 years ago. I was doing some, and I found this. I was like, oh, wow, this is really good stuff.
Hmm.
And it's like, I did some research. Okay, no one's really done anything. No one's claimed copyright. No one's doing anything with the teachings. It's just kind of fallen by the wayside since he died. He died in the 70s, I think. So it's like, well, yeah, there's some good stuff here. He's clearly, being inspired by the Holy Spirit. And actually, so a lady I'm supposed to be doing a coaching session with now, she did the course a couple of years ago, and it was kind of in there and it was sort of buried. I didn't really focus much on it. And she was like, wow, that's amazing. This stuff's really good. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I need to actually teach it, formally incorporate, not just leave you to read it. So hence we're doing it in the sessions. So we'll do one pathway every afternoon. They're quite short, they're just little short pointers. But
Yeah, this is really good stuff. I like it.
It is, yeah, very good stuff. So it's there in your manual, page 14. Read it, make sense of it, integrate it, and it's just more confirmation. You're on the right track here. This is mindfulness, and it's based on Buddhist teaching. You can see that it's just reframed, talking about your exquisite biocomputer and this kind of language for a Western mind, but it's really the same teaching as the Buddha taught 2,500 years ago. Just in a different language. So then people say it's new age. It's ridiculous. It's very old age. It's been going for thousands of years. It's just reframed.
New age is just
restated.
a word.
Yeah, it's just restated. It's ancient wisdom that's been restated. So okay. Shall we call it off there? I think it's a good session, and we have another one. I think I'm going to post a message on the group. Let me just see what's happening to my. Right. Okay. So I'm supposed to be in a coaching session now. So could we start the session a bit later tonight? How does that work? Evening session starting at that would be 6 p.m. 6 p.m. my time, 7 p.m. your time, orally.
Okay.
Does that work?
7 p.m.
Yeah, I've got my letting go thing with Sally at 6:30, so I'd have to just come in later.
Yeah, I think even later would be nicer. Actually, 7:38 would be better for me as well.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just gonna see
with the group, maybe check with the group.
Give me a moment. I'm just gonna call Corin. I better just